Hannah, what are we going to do today?
Play.
Play? I thought we were going to do office tour. Do you want to do an office tour?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's do it. Okay. All right, so what do we have over here? What's on that
A
wall?
map.
A map? What do we have on that map?
Places.
Yeah, places that we've been. We've got some places that we've been. So this is the wall that kind of sits to my right. We do have a vacuum cleaner right there. There's my printer and kind of a map that kind of show different places that we've been. We've kind of kept most of our travels up through the Midwest and southern portion. Actually, each one of these little pins they're color coded. So there you go. Then as you kind of turn, you can see on this wall, my wife did these for me. Here you have John 1:1, John 1:1, and then on the other side have Genesis, and then you have Genesis 1:1 in Hebrew. So you got one in Greek and one in Hebrew. And then on this wall, you've got the fireplace. My wife's done all the decorating there, obviously. So on this shelf, just have a lot of the classics, right? And they're not really numbered, right?
And up here.
And what do we have here, Hannah?
Hebrew.
Hebrew. Okay. What's your favorite book on this shelf right here, Hannah?
Pooh Bear.
Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear's your favorite? Okay, cool. All right. Okay, and then we've got some more here. Here you have a few biblical books, an Old Testament survey.
I
Yeah.
like the cow.
You like the cow one? And then you've got a interlinear Bible here. We are kind of in between services now as I record this, but a few people have requested that I do a kind of a book tour, office tour. This shelf I have micro Encyclopedia Britannicas,
And
which
the bear.
yeah, and the bear. Hannah says and the bear. Micro encyclopedias. Right next to the bear is a spare set of glasses that probably should move. And then on the next shelf down, we've got Interpreter's Bible Commentary, which appears to be out of order. That's a little bit on the more liberal side. You'll see the numbering here. I bought this from a library sale, so that's why it's got the numbering. Got my certificate there for certification I did through Biblical Mastery Academy. And then there's quite a bit on this lower shelf here, quite a bit of just randomness reigns in there. Hannah there, wanting to make a face. You don't have to make a face for the camera though, sweetheart. Okay, so there we go. And then on this is kind of on the other side of this. This is where my books are. You can see my MacBook there, which is hooked up to another monitor, and obviously my microphone. This is kind of handy. This is when things get noisy around the house and I'm trying to do some studying. It's Bluetooth, and it connects to it connects to my phone, so I can drown out some noise in the background. These top shelves are mostly random, very random. You can see I've got some Tyndale commentaries there, and just a bunch of random books. So anything from a book about how to make ideas stick, to clean jokes, to Lee Strobel's Case for Christ. If you're wanting to get introduced into Christian apologetics, that's one of the most common and favorite ones. And then down on this shelf, mainly, honestly, on these shelves, just randomness tends to reign. But you can see some of the different titles that I have here. I talked about these two books very recently. Commentary set. Thankfully, this one is in order that I got at another library sale. Alistair McGrath's book, Christianity's Dangerous Idea. This is an interesting book by Philip Payne. He takes a egalitarian view on men and women. but his take on head coverings, you can see someone with a head covering there, I thought was very interesting. It's the whole reason I've got that book, actually. I'm not a egalitarian myself, but I thought his take on head coverings was very interesting. Revelation commentary. This book is really neat by Steve Gregg. Kind of gives 4 different perspectives on the book of Revelation. This was actually a commentary that was recommended to me by Kenneth Gentry. I did send him an email asking something, his take, what would be a good commentary on Zechariah. So he recommended this one to me. Then again, you can see some more randomness here. This book used to be heavily used by me. Got so much use out of this Strong's Concordance, and yet now it just sits on my shelf and does very little with all the advent of technology, that you don't have to do that anymore. This book I've mentioned in a video before too, when the King James Version departs from the majority. If you're looking for order again, it's sort of random on here. Here is Word Biblical Commentary, some of those there. Some of those are very good, some of those are not so good. Here's a piece of Matthew Henry's commentary. I got this one volume on a discount sale. The other volumes, I've got, what I did is I bought the set here, and I was able to get that one individual volume off of Christian Book Distributors for Matthew Henry. I've found Matthew Henry to be more valuable as I've gotten older. There's that. Several others. I will mention these down here. Henry Alfred's. Oh, Hannah's wanting to point. Do you want to point? Point at those brown books right over there. Okay. Yeah, Alfred's Greek New Testament. Can't remember. That might be Henry Alfred. I can't remember if that's Henry Alfred. Henry Alfred's Greek New Testament, but it's really a commentary, is what it is. This I found very helpful. The linguistic key to the Greek New Testament. These I've used some. Theological lexicon of the Old Testament. Westminster Dictionary of the Bible. I've used that just a very little bit. And then here I have more randomness reigning. I have used these interpreters, even though they're out of order right now, believe it or not, I have used these interpreters Dictionary of the Bible quite a bit. What's surprising about those is that they're pretty good, but they lean kind of more liberal, quite a bit more liberal. This is a volume before I studied Greek on my own that I liked, the Transline New Testament. It's a very literal translation and outline form with some translation notes here. So that used to be very heavily used by me. Then another volume that I still use pretty regularly, or every once in a while at least, is the synopsis of the Gospels. This is sort of puts the Gospels side by side. Hannah's right in front of me right now, and you can see variations between the Gospels. So that's a handy volume to have. So again, quite a bit of randomness here and there. Here's one I'll bring out of note. By now you might know my name is Stephen Hackett, so of course I have to get a Hackett commentary on the Bible. So there you go. Another one that I've brought up, just set this on it's not going in. Hannah, can you put that in there for me? Put it in right here, sweetheart. Another one, Dispensational Truth. It's an interesting one. This I've mentioned this one in a video too. The Revelation of John by Smalley. Hannah's kind of still working to get this one in. Okay, so she's pushed it in pretty good. There you go. We'll just move over here. This set by, I'm up on a second shelf here. These have kind of got mixed together again. These are Apologetics set by Michael Brown, a Letters to Skeptic by Greg Boyd. This one's an interesting volume by Philip Comfort. If you're interested in some of the variations between the Textus Receptus and more modern editions, I've really enjoyed these fiction books by Chaim Patak, I think is how you pronounce his name. Anyways, they're good books. The Chosen, The Promise are good. Of course, this is the classic of Luther, Roland Banton. There's a few to mention there. And then moving down to the second shelf, we have Old Testament commentary set, very common, Kyle and DeLeach. Then I've also enjoyed the Stone edition of the Tanakh. It's an Orthodox translation of the Tanakh. And yeah, moving on down, of course, I use this a lot. I really need to move the Wallace's grammar there, because every time I take it out, I have to take this book out. So that's kind of a pain in the neck. Hannah, what do you think? You got anything more to add here? You want to say some things? What do you want to say?
God loves us.
God loves us. So Hannah is my little helper today. So the History of the Christian Church, these are excellent by Philip Schaff. I really enjoy those. And then I've just kind of put these in order by color, actually. So nothing real fancy about that, but obviously UBS 4th edition, a little dictionary that I've reviewed. And this book, I never gotten around to reviewing this book, but it hasn't been that helpful to me. So it's a little syntax guide. Word pictures, you've heard of that probably, the New Testament. And I've enjoyed this book by David Berceau. Really made me do a lot of thinking. Will the Real Heretics Stand Up? This is an underrated commentary by Moses Stewart on the Book of Revelation. David Chilton's commentary on Revelation. And then we've got some lexical work there. I think I have gotten around to reviewing these Big Idea series. They're pretty cool. Big Greek Idea series. I'm not crazy about the title, but they go into a lot of detail. This is one of my favorites. I use this one a lot too. The Linguistic and Exegetical Key to the New Testament, Vaticanus, which is actually just sort of a pseudo facsimile of the actual manuscript, Codex Vaticanus. I like this volume. I really like all of these, so I can stop saying that, I guess. Everything on this shelf is very handy to me. The background, New Testament background commentary is very helpful. Analytical lexicon by Maurice Robinson is really cool because it has some words in it that the Mounts lexicon doesn't have, because he's focused on some of the Byzantine text stuff, and it has all the words for the critical text, obviously, too. And here we go. Here is Matthew Everhard's Souls. So you might want to pick up a copy of that. Here we go. Yeah, so just some more commentary sets on this one. Larry Hurtado's. I haven't spent very much time with that. That was a little bit of a disappointment to me, honestly. I've got some on this lower shelf here, the newest edition of the Textus Receptus by some of the international critical commentary. James White's book, King James Only Controversy, Hebrew Grammar. I have a lot of things on my shelf. Just because you see it on my shelf doesn't mean I agree with it. I have works that I strongly disagree with. I mean, I even have a book by Ellen G. White that I've never read, which Ellen G. White wouldn't be on my high list of great people to read. My apologies to those that are Seventh-day Adventists. But, it's culturally important and helps you understand where other people are coming from. Well, I didn't mention this book. Again, if you're looking for a different perspective on head coverings, you're interested in that, both Hurley and Philip Payne take a view on that I find, right now, I find it compelling, even though I don't take some of their views as far as egalitarianism. All right, so a nice set that some friends gave me. Adam Clark's commentaries down there, George Lampsa's translation here, and a bunch of randomness down there. So, just moving on here. Okay, so where are we? Okay, so we've looked at a couple bookshelves now. So we've got these two bookshelves left we can look at. Some people wanted me to go into a little bit more detail what's on these. Total, complete randomness on that shelf. Everything from C.S. Lewis to Isaac Asimov to Plato is on this shelf. Complete randomness. Next shelf, almost completely the same. You can see I've even, so Benjamin, when we do devotions, he thinks this is his Bible. He's only 2 years old, so I didn't want him to tear up a real Bible, so he uses this one, so it comes on and off my shelf a lot. You can see this one is even flipped upside down. So just a bunch of randomness. This is an interesting book. Marvin Lubenow, his view on the bones that these hominid bones that have been found. How on earth my Greek New Testament ended up here, but I really like the Scribner edition of the Greek New Testament. It's actually from Stephanus. Done some reviews of that. Right underneath, questions and answers for plumbers' examinations on top of Spurgeon's sermons. Now, if you want to get ultimate randomness, there it is. That's probably why I've hesitated doing this, is because there's not as much order here as I would like to pretend there is. So again, a lot of randomness here. Alfred Edersheim's Jesus Messiah, that has kind of waned in popularity, but not for good reason. This is a very good book. I got this book when I was about 16 and helped me kind of understand a little bit about transmission of the Bible. All sorts of just different books here. Some of the Nakot series, which some of these are quite good. Some Anchor series, some more New Testament Anchor series down here. The Dictionary of New Testament Theology. This is the first edition. Second edition, I have the abridged, which is much better. And then again, down here, Pure Randomness. This is Ezra's Bible. Ezra isn't 2, he's 4. So he's been using this one, which ironically kind of matches this one that I had done. Now there's actually a couple books that I just ran out of space for that shouldn't be on this shelf right now that are. This is a very good volume. This is a very good volume. And this IVP background commentary, I've used this a lot. It's actually really important to me, so it shouldn't just be here kind of on the shelf of randomness, but there it is. And then I've got the New Interpreter's Bible Commentary, again, pretty liberal down there. And then finally, here's the last shelf. Quite a bit of randomness there. Yeah, everything from the New International Translation to this edition that came out from Canon Press. This is the what translation was that again? This is the Modernized Geneva Bible. It just was the name, the title was eluding me there for a second. I like this little book by Phil Johnson, Defeating Darwinism. And this book, Saying It Well by Charles Swindoll. Really like this one. Some more C.S. Lewis books, quite a few different random books there. C.S. Lewis, that was one that I used to spend a lot of time with. I said C.S. Lewis, my uh, Jim Elliot, the Journal of Jim Elliot was one that I spent a lot of time with. And of course, I've got a lot of these in electronic editions now. Pseudepigrapha, that's pretty important. And then History of the Jewish People. This has been updated. Hodge's Systematic Theology. Just about finished now Grudem's Systematic Theology, and I have not started the Historical Theology by Allison. N.T. Wright's new book, the New Testament in its world. It's been out for a little while, I guess now. A few commentaries from the New American Commentary set. And then here's some books that I've gotten mainly because of Biblical Mastery Academy. So Hermeneutics, Fundamentals of New Testament Textual Criticism, which I need to read for Level 2 certification. This is a great book. This was interesting, and I really like this one by Abner Chu, Hermeneutics. Varner, Second Clement, that's just a commentary, which I found useful as we were reading through some of Second Clement. Patristic Reader, which sometimes we use. Just finished this Greco-Roman World. That was really good. This is my favorite beginning Greek grammar. And then, of course, here's Campbell's book on verbal aspect and going deeper. As far as intermediate Greek grammars, I think this is my favorite one. And then I've used this quite a bit. It does tend a little bit liberal, but it does a lot of work on the going pretty deep on the Greek New Testament. Jameson, Fosse, and Brown, probably my favorite commentary. Septuagint volumes, and of course here we have I got these on Christian Book Distributors, and I got them sort of on the scratch and dent edition, so there's some little imperfections on these, like little corners that are dented or something. But I got the whole set for like $30, but they're kind of mix match because I bought them one volume at a time. But that's basically everything that was written prior to the Council of Nicaea that we still have, record of. Net Bible, Companion Bible, one of my favorite books, Lectures to My Students, Spurgeon. And then as we move down here, just a little bit of more chaos reigns as far as what I have. And then finally, this bottom shelf. The reason why these are kind of pushed in is that's kind of where Benjamin can reach, and he likes to push my books in. But here you go. This is it. This is where I study. This is where I do most of my. This is even where sometimes my family will gather, and we kind of hang out in here. Used to be a big TV up there. Placed it with a clock. So there you go. Here it is. And we'll see you guys on the next one.